So, going to make this the last week of the watercolour project. So next month's project is still live. So what we've got today, the individual fruits and objects, is almost like a lead into that. So if you fancy doing still live. So next month I thought I would start and cover a little bit about drawing skills. So do a little bit more about observational drawing. And then, and then work up towards painting. But if people want to paint straight away, that's fine. That's what covered. So last week we used some of these sort of landscape images, and so the idea was to practice some of the watercolour techniques that we've done so far: the flat washes, the wetting washes, graded washes, and then I was thinking, this is quite a nice way of just sort of applying it to single objects. So I've got various bits of fruit here, and there's also, if anybody wants other objects, I've got a box with different other things if you want to paint anything else. So I thought I'd use the mushroom and the pear as a demo. I think the easiest way to, so in terms of the drawing, I'll just say something very briefly about the drawing. The way I've gone about drawing this is to do a little bit from the side. I started with this shape in the middle. I just found that the easiest way to work. Starting in the middle, and then kind of working my way down and out, getting those shapes first. And then from there, I can then sort of see how much space there is to these sort of edges, and then kind of draw that inner edge first, and then I've then drawn the outer edge. So that's how I've gone about drawing that. A little bit different with the pear, because the pear there isn't too much going on in the middle, so I've tended to go around the outside. But something like that, where it's a bit more complicated, I find that the easiest way to draw out the shapes. In terms of the washes, there's not too much colour. It's all kind of shades of browny colours, and I've mixed a kind of slightly purpley brown, and I'm just going to soften that out, lighten that up a little bit. So it's working the same sort of way, working light to dark, and it's good to have something to just try the colours out on. Get up. So that can be that might be okay for most of it, and perhaps a slightly yellower version. So I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow. And again, just try it out with a little bit of scrap just before you get too far in. So this front edge, top edge, is very, very pale. So I'll use that there. Maybe even lighten it. Just a little bit of water in there, just a little bit. And then I can paint the whole of the mushroom with this sort of colour and tone. And just go a little bit deeper. These bits here. So that's in sort of one go. There's a little bit. Once that's dry, I can then paint the middle back in. There's a little bit more shadow and mixture of shadow and marking. So just around here it's a little bit dark. So while that's still wet, I've got some darker browns in there, and just soften out a little bit like that. And then probably let that dry now at that stage, and come back to that when it's dry. So I've got one that's partly, I think that might have been the one I did this morning. So I've just added a little bit more to that. And if you've got a couple of different objects, you could paint one object, do a wash on one, then maybe while that's drying, perhaps start another object and do a little bit on that. So if you've got a couple on the go, you're not waiting around necessarily for things to dry. We've got the hair dryer still if you want to use that. And right, so with this one, I think it might be the same mushroom. Just really go in with so this bit needs some light and shadow. So there's a little bit of a mixture of a shadow and a mark in the middle, something like that. And then the stalk is a bit darker, so I'll just go a little bit darker in there. It's a little bit like, obviously this window here is casting a bit of light, so I'll let that. I'm just softening that out with a little bit of water, just a tiny bit of damp, just so that it's slightly darker there. So that's a stalk. It might be an idea to let that dry and then paint the inside, but I will just carry on with this, just so you can see the middle bit. Just going for a slightly stronger mix. It's a mixture of brown and red and blue. Let's get that kind of purpley brown. Again, the light is catching. The light is catching some of the middle, but not all of it. So get that in fairly quickly before it starts to dry. And I've got plenty of paint mix so that I can just get that in before these edges dry out. It's a little bit more difficult because I'm working a little bit at both edges. That's good. I've had enough paint mix to get all that down. And then where it's a little bit darker, probably would have been better if I mixed this before. I'm just going to go a bit darker in places. So I'm getting some shadows there. While that's still wet, those can mingle in because I've got a little bit of shadow on this side. And just under here. I suspect that's starting to dry, so it's probably best if I don't do too much of that. So I think that will probably work there. I'll put the objects on white. Yeah, you've got white paper, that's good. It just makes it so much easier if they're on white. Otherwise, if you're on a colour background, you've got to paint all the way around. That's quite a challenge. So all we've got now is the shadow underneath. And these lights do make the shadows quite interesting colours. Quite often with the red lights, you seem to get green shadows a little bit. So that can be quite interesting. There's a slight greenish tinge, so just mix a grey that's got a little bit of blue in it. And I haven't actually drawn the shape of the shadow, but it's something like that. Some of them are double shadows because we've got lights, different light sources. We've got a few different shadows being cast. I'll just draw that one in for the time being. That's something like that. And then just where underneath the mushroom, where it almost like meets the paper, it's just a tiny bit darker. So again, while that's wet, yeah, so that can be the shadow. Starting to dry in the middle. So once that's dry, you've got these little bits of, almost like the little filament bits. I don't know what you call these. The little veins. So, we're using pretty much the same colour as home, just a few lines to suggest just those bits. And that's more or less it there. With the pear, very quickly do the pear, which I drew out somewhere. Nothing else to draw. Oh, maybe I'll just draw another one. There we go. Yeah, so again, just sketching out the basic shape, and quite a bigger brush, just so I can get the colour in quickly. Just mixed a green from mixture of the two yellows. I've got cadmium yellow and lemon yellow. Oh, that's all the mixes. Have a look at all that. trying to get cerulean blue. Yeah, cerulean blue. And we'll just get that on quite quickly. And while that's wet, I'll get the colour in quite quickly. So that would be the lighter areas, and then some bits are in shadow, like this bit around here, there's a bit of shadow. I'm just going to add a little bit of brown into the mix, just make a slightly stronger mix. So some yellow, blue, and a tiny bit of brown into that. And while that's wet, I'll just pop that in where I can see some shadows. And that way I'll get some light, nice soft edges. This particular pair, there's light coming from that window there, so I might want to just lift out a little bit of a highlight. So just with a clean brush, sort of clean it and then dry it, so it's put water into it. I can just lift a little bit of paint out like that. So any highlights, you can just lift them out like that. And it may not be exactly that highlight. It's best not to overwork them. And then from there, sort of these two over. It's then just if you wanted a little bit of the stalk and some of the pattern on the skin. There's like a little bit of textural pattern on the skin. I'm not going to go too really any darker than what I've used already. I just want to maybe make a few marks, subtle marks, just to suggest that sort of pattern in the skin that makes it look like a conference pear rather than some other kind of pear. It's slightly broken. So just they're sort of fairly random marks, and just looking at, and then some bits a bit more joined together. I find that is enough to lighten those a little bit. Enough to suggest the texture in the skin, and just a nice dark stalk. That. And again, just pop a shadow underneath, like we have. That's a little bit dark, perhaps that one. And a little bit bluer. So getting it. In this case, the shadow is coming down like that. And a little bit darker. Just under here.
What were the two yellows you used?
I've got, well, it's not proper cadmium, but it's like the cotton cadmium. Cadmium yellow and lemon yellow. But proper cadmium, you probably know this, it's very opaque, so this is like the student quality one. Okay, all good to go?
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, right, I can see it.